What happens when your origin story is the deliberate act of subversion? When the man under the mask is not just a hero, but the king of the most technologically advanced nation on Earth. Today, we're diving deep into the history and motivations and the complex narrative of T'Challa, the Black Panther. His legacy is defined by a lightning strike debut that shattered stereotypes and an evolution that turned a comic book character into a global cultural icon. Get ready to explore the echoes of Wakanda. Welcome back to Marvel Echoes Resonance. I'm your host, Will, and we're getting into a foundational figure today. You can't talk about Marvel's current landscape, or its future for that matter, without talking about the Black Panther. His origin is unique because it's less about getting powers and more about assuming an unbreakable responsibility. So the story begins way back in 1966. The world of comics was about to change forever. The civil rights movement was in full swing, and two legends, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, decided that Marvel needed a hero who reflected the world they were living in. That hero, whose birth name is T'Challa, made his debut in Fantastic Four number 52. This was a watershed moment. He was the first black superhero in mainstream American comic books. Now, every great hero has a tragic motivation, and for T'Challa, it was the death of his father, King T'Chaka. The villain behind it? A mercenary scientist named Ulysses Klaue. Klaue invaded the secluded African kingdom of Wakanda to steal its most valuable resource, vibranium, and T'Chaka was killed defending his home. This personal tragedy forced T'Challa to assume the mantle of Black Panther, transforming his mission from a rite of passage into a burning strategic drive for vengeance. His debut story immediately sets him apart. T'Challa literally summons the Fantastic Four to Wakanda, not to greet them, but to ambush and individually defeat them. This wasn't an evil plot, it was a cold, calculated test. He needed to prove his own prowess against the strongest beings he knew to prepare for the rematch with Klaue. The brilliance of this debut, and why it's a constant echo in his character, is the subversion. He wasn't a sidekick or a friendly local, he was an intellectual, a strategist, and a warrior who could single-handedly overpower a team that had recently fought Galactus. He was presented as an equal to Reed Richards, the smartest man in the world, and that was huge. And then there's Wakanda itself. Kirby and Lee presented as a technologically advanced society that had successfully resisted colonization. This is a powerful narrative arc in the 1960s. It created this aspirational vision, this Afrofuturist wish fulfillment, an African nation free of exploitation. T'Challa's origin isn't just about biography, it's a decolonizing fantasy. This initial spark set the stage for every story that followed. And of course, we have to pause here to talk about the name, Black Panther. The character debuted in July of 1966. The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense was founded just months later in October 1966. Now, Stan Lee always maintained the name was an unrelated coincidence, inspired by an old pulp hero. But the name was already politically charged, used by civil rights groups as a symbol of strength and resistance. Whether intentional or not, the name carried a narrative echo that is unavoidable. Marvel even briefly tried to change it to the Black Leopard in the 1970s, but it didn't stick. As a creator, sometimes the art you make in a time of social upheaval inevitably becomes a reflection of that time. That's the power of the Black Panther. His very existence is an inherently political and utterly unforgettable statement. Following his introduction, T'Challa traveled to New York, where he was recommended by Captain America to, join the Avengers in issue number 52. For years, he was portrayed as a noble, if somewhat stoic ally, aligning with the universal good of his American superhero counterparts. This was the simple surface-level ripple, a powerful black character joining the major team. But T'Challa is never simple. He's always playing the long game. So, what would be a defining moment as motivation? The true narrative echo that changed everything came much later with a retcon in the 1990s. In 1998, a writer named Christopher Priest took over the Black Panther title and absolutely reinvented it. Priest was a black American writer and brought a geopolitical complexity to Wakanda that made it feel like a real nation. He delivered a fundamental retcon to the character's history, revealing that T'Challa didn't join the Avengers just to help humanity. His true secret motivation was to spy on them and assess their potential threat for the sovereignty of Wakanda. Think about it. T'Challa is the leader of a small, hyper-advanced country holding the world's most valuable metal, vibranium, hidden away. Why wouldn't he be suspicious of a powerful global superhero team? He's smarter than all of them, and he would logically view them as a potential security risk. This revelation transformed him from a simple ally to a shrewd, pragmatic, and fiercely loyal sovereign whose priority was always, and always will be, the security of his people. Priest's Run was a political thriller, not just a superhero comic. To help the audience navigate this complex world, Priest used a white liaison from the U.S. State Department named Everett K. Ross to serve as the narrator. Ross was often bewildered and out of his depth, acting as a conduit for mainstream readers. This allowed Priest to explore complex themes of race, politics, and power by making the hero unknowable to the white narrator, forcing the audience to confront their own assumptions. It is a brilliant narrative trick. Priest also introduced the fan favorite Dora Milaje, the all-female Royal Guard. If the Avengers are your traditional American heroes, they are the highly trained, fiercely loyal, and culturally rich fighting force of Wakanda. Priest's era cemented T'Challa's reputation as a powerful figure in the global geopolitical sphere. His character's evolution continued to lean into that cultural pride with writer Reginald Hudlin in 2005. Hudlin's run was unapologetically a celebration of Black cultural pride, transforming the subtext of Wakanda's origin into a bold, overt, and celebratory narrative of historical triumph. He emphasized Wakanda's history as a successfully resisting of European colonizers, a powerful fantasy of defiance, and introduced T'Challa's brilliant sister Shuri, who would go on to even take up the Black Panther mantle herself. Hudlin even married T'Challa to Storm of the X-Men, a union that created a powerhouse royal couple in the Marvel Universe. Hudlin's Afrocentric vision was a major influence on modern film adaptations you know and love. Now we're going to fast forward to the most recent monumental chapter, the run by National Book Award-winning author Ta-Nehisi Coates, starting in 2016. Coates brought a deep philosophical perspective, pushing T'Challa into a crisis of leadership. Coates' main storyline explored a political rebellion within Wakanda, fueled by the people's desire for a more democratic form of governance. The central question wasn't about fighting a villain like Claw anymore. It was, can a good man be king? And would an advanced society tolerate a monarch? T'Challa was forced to grapple with the immense burden of the crown and the internal struggle of being a monarch in a modern world. From there, T'Challa's story literally went cosmic with a massive intergalactic empire of Wakanda storyline. This arc revealed that an ancient Wakandan civilization had expanded into space, forming a massive oppressive empire. T'Challa ended up stripped of his identity and forced to fight against his own people's tyrannical future. This firmly established him as a major player in the Marvel's cosmic architecture, right alongside characters like Doctor Doom or Captain Marvel. Currently, in 2025, T'Challa remains the reigning monarch of Wakanda, but his relationship with the international community is always in flux. The foundation laid by Priest that T'Challa is a master spy whose primary loyalty is to Wakanda still defines every interaction he has with teams like the Avengers. His story is one of constant political and personal conflict, proving that Black Panther's legacy is not a static artifact, but a living, breathing narrative that continually evolves. So, Black Panther's legacy is built on the origin of vengeance, but it has evolved into a narrative about responsibility, sovereignty, and unyielding loyalty to one's own people. It's a testament to the power of a single idea, a black man, a genius, a king, who is one of the most important heroes in the entire Marvel universe. So I'll leave you with this question. Considering T'Challa's retcon, that he joined the Avengers to be a spy, do you think he was right to prioritize the security of Wakanda over the trust of his allies? Was he a king first or a hero first? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for listening to this episode of Marvel Echoes. We just scratched the surface of T'Challa's long, complex history. If you enjoyed the deep dive, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Leaving a like and a comment really helps the podcast grow. For more content, including a fuller deep dive and new reader guides, make sure you follow the link in the description below. Till next time, true believers, make mine Marvel.